Hi, I'm Ross McMill. Today we're going to be looking at sound. Sound is used in nearly every media product we use in the modern day, from TV to radio to video games. Sound immerses us into these worlds much more than you might initially realise. I'm going to cover different ways sound can be used, the first of these being films and sound go hand in hand. Video can show you the world, but it's sound that gives you that extra layer of experience to complete immersion. Of course, the first step to creating the sound in a film is sound recorded on location. This simply means sound that was recorded on the set of a film with a boom pole. This is the simplest way to record audio and is mostly used to capture dialogue. There are of course other tools in the filmmaker arsenal when it comes to sound, and that is either a studio recording or a dubbing. Studio recording is a sound effect that was recorded via a studio, and dubbing is where you record dialogue in a studio. Remember when I said about on-location recording? Well, sometimes there's an issue where other sounds get picked up and ruin the audio. The cheaper and easier solution to reshooting and getting everyone involved from that scene back is having a dub created in post. This just means recording the lines of the actor and having them recorded so that they pair up with the video. The next audio usage we will be looking at is advertising uses audio in a different way to films. Adverts are quick segments used to promote products or services. They can have different styles to try and captivate the audience. This can be with voiceovers telling you about a product or a memorable story to stick in your head, often with a bit of catchy music or, a phrase. When I think of audio in adverts, my brain jumps to the classic advert for 118.
If there's something strange running through your head, who you gonna call? 118!
The use of the Ghostbusters theme with the change of lyrics to stick in your head works so well that it still pops in my head every now and then. Another type of advert is the new iPhone, which provides a showcase video of the phone's features alongside a voiceover describing this. It conveys exactly what they want and shows you the phone without feeling like any time is wasted. Not wasting time in adverts is vital, as companies are paying for very specific time slots. They want to use it all up. The next audio type we'll be looking at is
20. He's gonna get it wrong.
when you watch a live TV show, you have a different experience with sound because there can't be any edited audio. A show like Saturday Night Takeaway is recorded in front of an audience, with the audience interacting, and a show like The Big Bang Theory would have been filmed in front of an audience, however the laughter would be added in post. A show like Big Bang Theory won't show that there is an audience. They don't want to break the fourth wall. Unless of course you think of a very specific example like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
We so rich. Why we can't afford no ceiling?
Live audience sound can be used in some shows. Examples of this would be football matches and the chanting of fans, or laughing and audience reactions from talk shows. Not all shows are predetermined. Sports, for example, are filmed live with a narrator. The narrator will be commentating by providing comments and updates, such as when a goal is scored or what player is in possession of the ball. Now, let's move on to when you play video games in the modern era, you will hear a wide range of sounds depending on the game. Since games are computer generated, none of the audio can be naturally created. This means to immerse you in the world they are trying to create, they will need to create all the sounds to use in their game. Depending on the game will depend on the sounds made. If you're making a first-person shooter such as Call of Duty, you're going to have very different sounds to a futuristic shooter such as Halo. But it doesn't stop there. Some games can have an interesting use of sounds, and that is horror games. I felt these needed a mention because not only are they creating the world of sound, but they're using it to create suspense, and I would say that's a difficult thing to master. Of course, in more relaxing games they will use a different technique, like playing loops of their music. The most memorable of these would be the melodic songs such as games like Animal Crossing, Minecraft or Stardew Valley. They do still loop the suspenseful moments, although these aren't typically the songs that would come to mind. When video games create their sounds, they need to account for a plethora of sounds. Much like in film, to really immerse someone, they need to consider the surroundings. Is there a tree swaying? Is there a ghost moving through a wall? I mean, what does that even sound like? It's much harder for the creation of sound in video games, because it isn't real. You have nothing to compare to. What does a character flying on a cloud sound like? Down to the actual voices of the characters need to be decided, and choosing how a character talks or sounds can be a really heavy task. If this is done wrong, it can damage the immersions of the game. Take a look at some of the voice acting in House of the Dead 2.
Responsible to protect the life cycle.
Yeah, I'd say getting the voices right is pretty important. Some voice acting can be world class, of course, like Ellen McLain, who voices the passive-aggressive, narcissistic and sinister robot GLaDOS. GLaDOS is considered the most notable part of the Portal games because of how good the voice acting is.
I'm afraid you're about to become the immediate past president of the Being Alive Club.
Okay, now we're moving on to
BBC
Radio 1.
Hello, everybody. Dan
radio is interesting because sound is all they can work with. No video means they must be on the top end of audio quality, as this is the only defining feature of a radio show, making it much easier to notice a dip in quality. So, in radio, there are two ways a broadcast can go, either a live show or a pre-recorded show. The live is with hosts being in the studio, broadcasting out as you listen, and pre-recorded being a show that was recorded prior to the time of air. This isn't black and white, however, with many top radio shows merging live and pre-recorded in a way that you may not notice. Say for example, pop icon Justin Bieber agreed to do an interview with you, however was only available to do it the day before your show, because he is far too busy. You would not want to miss out on that. So record your interview, broadcast it in the middle of your radio show, and no one knows any different. Of course, there are benefits to being pre-recorded, as it often allows the interviewee a chance to breathe, as they know anything they say will not be immediately aired and then spread around their socials for weeks to come to haunt them. Interviews can be completed in many ways and usually depends on the availability of the interviewee. A radio show would much rather have the interview than lose it because they are not willing to record over Skype for an hour. Of course, preferentially, they want to do it in their booth with crystal clear audio. However, it's not always achievable, and in some cases they may even go to a location with the interviewee. This of course depends on everyone's schedules. And our next topic will be on the There are many different sounds. When you break them down, there are 5 main categories. The first 2 are diegetic and non-diegetic. What this means is if it is diegetic, then the characters in a show can hear it. So for example, a car radio or a band playing. Non-diegetic is where it is not heard. Soundtracks played for the audience's benefit. There is then atmospheric sound, which is sound used to build on the atmosphere of the world. This is usually diegetic and will be sounds like wind, water, crowds, cars. You know, whatever is in relation to what is in the scene. Then there is dialogue and narration. Dialogue is the sound of people talking. Narration is someone talking over a film or show with the intention of providing a commentary. Dialogue is diegetic because the characters can hear it, and narration is non-diegetic because the narrator usually doesn't exist in the world, and failing that is not heard by the characters. The last sound is music. Music is great at rounding off the feeling of a film. It will complement what is on screen well, and can either be diegetic or non-diegetic, depending on the film, as some shows may work in the characters listening alongside with you. The last section of this video is
Well, it was for Charlie.
I know, but it just was horrible.
And then this is the wind that was blowing. So if you get that real close, and I'll get him.
This is the one that killed Bambi's mother, isn't it?
That's right.
I hope you're proud of yourself.
Sound effects can be used to enhance your film or show in many ways. You can bring out the emotion of your film, whether that be positive or negative emotion. For example, if someone was in their home and they hear a knock on the door followed by thunder and rain, as opposed to birds and chirping, you may feel different moods in relation to the sounds. Other ways sounds can enhance a film will be through genre, time and location. How this works is using sound effects relevant to what the film is trying to achieve. If you want your film to be in the 70s, then you're not going to implement sounds of a 2014 Toyota, but rather cars from that era. As well as the era, you will need to consider the location. This means thinking about where the film is set and using sounds that would be heard in that location. You'll not hear the same sounds in London as you would in the countryside. Bear in mind the genre you are trying to achieve, as certain sounds will help this. Horror films will often use sounds to create tension and suspense, whereas a comedy will use sounds to create humour and laughter. Sound is an incredible tool, no matter what you are creating. So thank you very much for listening. This is the end of my video. I hope everyone enjoyed. Bye.